This is the Superlink gateway from Unifi, which for the past 5 months has been extending my Bluetooth range for my all-in-one sensors. But that changes now, because now we have sensors. Yes, we have finally got the first 2 sensors for the Unifi Superlink protocol. If you're not familiar with the Superlink, I did a video on this particular device about 5 months ago, so go and check that out. But Superlink is Unifi's proprietary protocol that runs pretty much on LoRa, on long-range sort of Wi-Fi or radio signals. And we'll get into more of that a bit later. But until now, it's only been extending Bluetooth because there were no sensors. But now we have the environmental sensor and we have the Siren PoE sensor. So this gives you temperature, humidity, light, I think. And this is a siren. So this video, we're gonna connect these 2 sensors to the Superlink gateway and see what they do. And then we're gonna have a really good dig around the alarm manager and protect, because that's where all the magic happens. But first, let's get these out of the box and see what we're dealing with, because it's a tiny box, tiny. So we have 2 sensors. Let's start with the PoE siren, or the Siren PoE, and we'll get to that in just a second. So of course this means, and you know, you like this, yes, I know. And what have we got? All right, so I should clarify that this is just a siren. If you saw my video on the AI horn, this is not the same. This just does a tone as far as I'm aware. So it's more of a alert tone rather than a, you know, the AI horn, which could do audio files, etc. So here it is. It's actually a decent size. Again, build quality as always seems really good. I think this is a polycarbonate type thing. Anyway, we'll get to that when we install it. Oh, look at that. Okay, that turns. All right. Probably many ways of installing it. All right, I have a template for installing it. Then we have a bracket for putting it probably on the wall or on the ceiling. All right, a lot of things, a lot of holes, jeebus. And then we have another bracket that looks like a gasket for the carburetor. Anyway, and then we have a bunch of grommets here for, you know, if you're gonna install it outside, I guess. We're gonna get to the specs in just a second. A bunch of screws, etc. as usual. And some tools. There we go. You were right. So, okay, that's the PoE siren. Right, so let's have a look at the environmental sensor, as it says there. It's a very small box, which is good. We like small sensors, don't need to take up too much room. And there's another one, itty bitty one. All right, so let's get it out here. It says pull there. And out it comes, all right. So we have the sensor itself is here. So not very big. All right. Yep, very good. So there's a couple of buttons, LEDs on it, I think. And there's a button there. Click, click. And let's just take this off here so we can see it. So that's the sensor. All right. And if I pull that out, it enables the battery or connects the battery. So I'm not going to do that just yet. All right. What else have we got in here? We should have some screws and stuff. There is a mounting template with a little spirit level, and of course there is the, oh, that's actually kind of metal. Yeah, right, nice. So that has adhesive on it. There's a bit of double-sided tape, and you can of course also use the screws there, or both, I guess, if you want. And that then goes on. Oh, that's magnetic. Oh, look at this. Ha! Ta-da! That's kind of neat, actually. Oh, so you can just take the sensor on and off. All right, and there's a bit of warranty information, I think. Yep, that's it. Cool, so environmental sensor, Siren PoE sensor. All right, let's have a look at the specs first, and then we'll install them, because I think the specs might sort of inform where we're gonna install them. So before we look at the specs for the 2 sensors, maybe now is a good time to subscribe to the channel. Yes, because this year, again, I'm going for 50,000 subscribers, which would be amazing. Like amazing. And I could really use your help. So if you are one of the 80% that is watching this video that hasn't subscribed, click that button down below. It really helps out the channel. It's free. It comes with free cookies and many, many more videos. Yeah, I know. All right, let's get into the specs here. So I have here the Siren PoE. And now before I get to that, maybe I should just go through what Superlink is. Yeah, because Superlink is right here. So Superlink Gateway. This is the little unit you saw at the start of the video, and this is what makes it all happen. Right, so this is a PoE powered device. You can see here, it plugs into PoE, it goes into my my switch, and then it's on the network, which means that it can now connect to other Superlink devices and put them on the network. So it's like a gateway, right? As it says here, proprietary, super long range, low latency wireless gateway for Unifi Protect sensors, right? And those are the So Superlink is the protocol, which is a proprietary protocol made by Unifi, and it runs on, as we can see down here, here's the technical part of it. It runs Bluetooth 5.2, which is lovely. So this means that it has longer range as well for the all-in-one sensors, of which you'll have 3, but I'll show you that in just a second. And you can see here that it supports 7 Bluetooth clients and 96 sensors, so quite a lot, right? And it says Superlink sensors are coming soon, which is now. Now is soon. Very good. All right, so that's you need that to use these sensors, right? This is quite important. You need the Superlink gateway or the Superlink to do that. So the Siren PoE, as we just saw, looks like this. So it has all-weather Siren, so we can put it outside, which I think I will do. We'll do that in just a second. And it has 110 decibel alarm. That is loud. That's very loud. It's like a very loud car, I think. I usually speak in cars. And this ring out here around it is an LED. So you can have emergency LED lighting, as it says, but we'll check that out as well. I'm not entirely sure what we can do with that. So you can see here, that's the PoE. Now, technically, as you can see here, it's IP56. So it is weatherproof. We can put it outside. We will do that. It only uses 5 watts, so it's not a lot of wattages. It's probably a lot less than that, I would imagine. That's the max power consumption. Buzzer. Siren 110 decibel at 1 meter, right? So that's how they define it. That is quite loud. Now, it is not the AI horn, as I have mentioned at the start as well. This is a completely different type of siren. The AI horn is meant for, warnings and MP3s and all sorts of other things, not just a tone. What else is here? There's nothing else really interesting as such. No, not really. I believe these run on the 900 megahertz band, but they use the Superlink protocol over the LoRa standard, essentially, right? So that is also why. Let's just go to the environmental sensor here. Battery-powered Superlink sensor, so there's a battery in it. There's a CR123A, pretty common type of battery for IoT devices. It detects water leaks. You will need a water leak detector for that, which I don't have, and you plug that into it. And then it also has temperature, humidity, and ambient light sensors. So that's sort of it's a pretty standard. If you've done anything with IoT and home automation, you will have come across one of these sensors, especially temperature and humidity, right? And ambient light is nice. It is also weatherproof, as you say here, IPX5 rated, so not tested for dust, but has a 5 rating for fluids, ingress of fluids. As we found out, it's magnetic, and you can also screw that mount up on the wall, like this. Technically, here we go. It's made from polycarbonate. It feels kind of chunky, which is nice. And we have here temperature sensor, humidity sensor, ambient light sensor. Now, the interesting thing here is that it uses that lithium battery CR123A, which gives it 6 years of battery life. 6 years. That is more than any at all. But I'm going to rely on one of you to put in the comment in 6 years, hey, is it still going after 6 years? Because how else are we going to test it? Right? Okay. Max power consumption, it says here 34.9 milliwatts. So almost nothing. And again, this is connected, as it says down. Oh, here we got frequencies here. For US 915.6, I believe that's the one we use in Australia, I think. And EU frequency is here. And we have the range of 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers, hence the frequency, right? This LoRa frequency means you get that longer distance, but still 2 kilometers. So I'm going to see if we can test that somehow. I have a couple of ideas, but yeah, I'm making this up as I go. But that's the specs for these 2 sensors. Now, of course, we're not just going to have those 2 sensors, right? Now, so already on the desktop, I know you might have already noticed, up here, we have a bunch of others. So let's just quickly have a squeeze through what is coming that has been announced here. So we have Superlink Siren, all-in-one sensor. That's the original Bluetooth sensor, right? So when you bought these initially, they were connecting to an access point via Bluetooth, usually the Wi-Fi 6 access point. Wi-Fi 7 access points do not have Bluetooth, so you need the Superlink to connect these up again via Bluetooth, right? Environmental sensor, where we have a glass break sensor. So we don't have much information other than it's shipping in December. Battery-powered Superlink sensor featuring advanced glass break detection and motion sensing. So it must have a microphone in it, and it has a motion sensor. Okay. Then there is a Siren, so not PoE Siren, but this is a Superlink Siren, so it's connecting via so it's powered by a battery and connecting just wirelessly, just like the environmental sensor. But I think it's the same. So that seems more versatile, because PoE, obviously, you need to put a cable up and whatever. You're not gonna run out of power or battery, but it is a bit more work to put up. And then we have an entry sensor, which is a battery-powered Superlink sensor that monitors door and window open-close status. We've seen these a million times before, right? This is the most common after temperature sensor. This is the most common. You can see here we have a small, which is usually just a magnet, and a larger sensor, a small sensor and a larger sensor, and the larger one is the one that has all the communication stuff in it. Oh, we have some technical stuff for it here. Okay. Yeah, lithium batteries again, CR123A, 2 kilometer range, which is neat. We haven't really had that before, especially not with Zigbee or Wi-Fi. And it doesn't say anything about battery life yet. All right. So that's the entry sensor. And then there is a motion sensor as well, which is battery powered via Superlink. They're kind of neat. I kind of like these. We can put these almost anywhere now on the farm where we want to detect motion. So that's kind of neat. I'll see if I can come up with a good use case for that if I get my hands on one in December or later, because that's also shipping in December. So there's more sensors coming. And that original photo that we saw, that mock-up that Unifi published, I think there were more sensors than that on it. But maybe you can tell me in the comments as well. So we have a lot of sensors coming in the future. We have 2 of them now, the environmental and the Siren PoE. So let's go and install those, adopt them into Protect, and then start using them with the Alarm Manager. Okay, so here's the plan, because I kind of mentioned that I was going to put the Siren outside, and that is the plan, but I've run out of ports in the switch I have in the shed, in the workshop. That's a flex switch with 5 ports, and I've used all 5. And getting one from here to the outside is a bit complicated right now for various reasons. So here's my intermediate plan, which I'm going to do in this video, is that I'm going to plug this in. Because it is PoE powered, we can't just put it anywhere. We've got to connect it to a switch with PoE or PoE adapter, but in this case a switch. So we're going to plug it into here. I'm going to have it inside here lying on the shelf for now. That'll be all right for the video, but it is meant to go outside as well, because you have this swivel thing here for the plug, the PoE plug. So RJ45 is swiveling. It's quite neat. I haven't seen that before. But it also has all of these different sort of channels for where the cabling can go. So you can have the wire coming out there, you can come out the back, out here. And of course it has this really quite nice mount here, which you can then put on the wall, and then you can put that on there as well. So there is a lot of options for mounting it, but in this video, I'm going to plug it into here, and I think that'll be all right. We can still use all the features and see how it works. And then we're going to take, put a little tab out, pull it out here, and then we're gonna put this into protect as well. Protect, yeah, via Superlink. And then we'll have 2 of these in protect, and then we'll go into alarm manager as well as testing the range on this. I'll see how I can do that, but has 2 kilometer range apparently. So we're gonna see how far away we can get from the Superlink, which is just outside my door here. So that's the plan. So let's plug this in first, the Siren. I'm just gonna have a patch cable. I'm gonna plug that into my XG 24 port switcher, XG Pro. So these are all 10 gigabit ports. So we get 10 gigabits of the Siren. Probably not needed. And it's PoE+++. Need more pluses. So I'm gonna plug that into here. Whoop. And just do a little bit of cable management here, like that. That's now flashing white. Okay, very good. I'll put it up on the shelf here. All right, so the Siren's ready to be adopted. And let's just do the environmental sensor as well. I should just have to pull out this tab like this. That should be it. Any lights? Yeah, so that's flashing white as well. Okay. Well, I think that means that it's ready for adoption. So let's just jump into Unifi Protect and get them into the system and see what they look like. I'm here in Unifi Protect, and as you can see, they have popped up the UP Siren PoE and the USL Environmental. UP, Unifi Protect, I guess. USL is Unifi Superlink. So the Siren isn't really a Superlink, I guess, connection because it's PoE, so it just goes on the network. Obviously, the Siren that's coming later will be, because it's not PoE. And then there's the environmental sensor here, which is Superlink. So we're going to click this one to adopt it. There we go. And one new device has been added. And we're going to click the other one to adopt that. And then we add those. So let me just change how this looks. Here we go. We go down to the bottom here. And here we have the UP Siren PoE and the environment still adopting. Okay. Well, let's see when it comes on. Anyway, while it's doing that, I am going to show or have a look at the Siren here and see what we got. This device is ready to be updated. Okay, I'll update in just a second. And we have, it looks pretty simple. Yeah, obviously it's promoting the alarm manager because that's where the magic is, but we'll get to that in just a second. We're just gonna see what these do and maybe just test them out as well. See if we can get them to work. And then we have some settings. We've got a name for it. I'm just gonna leave that name for the minute. That's okay. We have here, test volume. They're moving around. There we go. Let's see if we can test the Siren because it's just out there. See if we can hear it from here. You ready? It's not stopping. Stop. There we go. I think you can hear that. And that was a low. That was at 50% volume. So we can turn it up. It is 110 decibel. So it's loud. Yeah, it is loud. All right. Status light. Where's this LED? Maybe we'll just do an update for it. Let's do that. And I'll be right back. All right. We've updated version 1.4.1. Current at time of recording. And let's go to settings here, and that didn't change anything. Okay, so the status light is just a little LED that's flashing, I'm pretty sure. So the LED around the edge, maybe we can do that through Alarm Manager. Okay, that's the one I really want to see what that looks like. Anyway, that looks really simple. There's basically a noise, and there's the light as well, which we'll find out. So let's look at the environmental sensor, which is here. So that has now been adopted. Is there an update for that? Device version 1.0.1. That sounds like there would be an update. Well, not yet. Okay. So we have some sensors, right? We don't have the leak detection. I don't have the leak detector hooked in because I don't have one, but that would show here. Here is the light level, so 466 lux. We have 56% humidity and 18.2 degrees in temperature. Now these values, let's just have a look quickly at the all-in-one sensor, one of them. So let's go to the machinery shed sensor here. See, that's very similar. So we, again, don't have a leak detection because you can add that to them as well, which I don't have. There's light, there's humidity, and there's temperature. So that is very, very similar. Of course, the difference is that this is a Bluetooth device, the all-in-one, and this is a Superlink device. So the range is much greater, like much greater. 20 meters, 30 meters compared to 2 kilometers or something like that. So yeah. Sensor manager, I'll show you that as well in just a second. We're not gonna, just a second. And we have the connection. It's a good connection. Well, it's not far from it, from the Superlink, so that should be good, but still 59 dBm. Okay, well, we're gonna see how far away we can get. And again, we have the alarm manager here. So we have when the alarms were triggered, if there are any. Sense, open or close status change. Open or close? Okay, wasn't the way it did open and close. I'm not sure what that means. 28 minutes ago. That's when I turned it on, I think. Anyway, no, uptime 23 minutes. Okay, if anyone knows what that means, let me know in the comments, because sense open or close status change, that sounds like a door sensor. Okay. Let's look at statistics. There's probably not many because we've got temperature, humidity, and light here. You can also see this in the sensor manager in just a second. And then we have the settings. We can give it a name. We can pair a camera. Okay. So I guess you can pair a camera to have events based on the sensor or based on the camera. Again, I'm not entirely sure how that works. Okay, that's neat. Let me know in the comments if you figured that one out. And then we have the events we can capture here, which is the temperature, humidity, light, leak. We don't have that. And with the update frequency, how often do you update? And of course, the more often you update, the more battery you use. Right, so 5 minutes, it's probably okay for me right now. I don't think I need any more than that. Probably less would be okay too. And again, you can see estimated battery life is long. So that's again up to 6 years, as it said. If I turn these off, we should get a longer battery life. See if I apply changes. No, not exactly. Device is in sleep mode. Oh, okay. So I guess it wakes up every 5 minutes and then it connects. That makes sense. Okay. Connection settings. Yep, we're connecting to the Superlink gateway. That's the only way we can connect right now. So maybe there'll be other ways in the future. I don't know. And we can lock it to that link. Now we could have more than one Superlink gateway, of course, right? That's probably what it's getting at right now, but I just have the one. All right, cool. So that's how they look. Now, let me show you the sensor manager, which is here on the left. And that is a way of showing all of the sensors that we have. So I can, again, this is just the office sensor. So that's here in the office. We can add, say, the machinery shed sensor. You can see that's the temperature, and we can add the workshop sensor. Again, I have 3 all-in-one sensors. And of course, we can now add the environmental sensor as well. Now, there's hardly any data for it. So you can see it's just up there. It's only just way up there because we just turned it on. But that will show up here too in the same way that this shows up. So that's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. And of course, we can change that between humidity and light. And we can have a date range, say 3 days, and it'll show all that. So that's kind of neat. Now, I would normally look at this in Home Assistant. And I don't know if the Superlink is coming through the Home Assistant. Probably not yet because it is so new. So whoever is in charge of the Protect integration may not have got the Superlink devices through just yet, but we can check a bit later. Okay, so before we get to the alarm manager and try and set up and see how we can make it all work together, let's just see how far away we can get with this new environmental sensor, because it's 2 kilometer range. But yeah, let me just see what I can figure out. I am here at the top of the hill, up the back paddock, and I'm about 300 meters away now from the Superlink gateway. And I have placed the environmental sensor right there. It's on top of the car and it is connecting just fine. So it does say poor connection, but I'm never really convinced what that means. But it's fine. It is measuring all the things from up here, 300 meters away. So let's try and go a bit further away. I'm now outside one of my neighbor's house, and I've put the Superlink environmental center here on their mailbox. And this is pretty much exactly 1.5 kilometers from the Superlink gateway, as accurate as I can measure it. And guess what? It works! It does work. I actually didn't think it would, because if you look at where the signal comes from there, and there's like trees, and there's that little itty bitty hill there, not the big one, that's not it, but this one here. So there's a bit of hills and a bit of trees in the way, but it connected. I can't really go further away because I'm going to lose signal on the phone, and it was a dribble as it is. So, but 1.5, I'm happy with that. If a company says, 2 kilometer range, I'm always a bit dubious. I don't know if you are, but 1.5 kilometer, I'll take that. And it probably would, actually reach 2 kilometers if there was like clear line of sight and good conditions. But yeah, it worked. All right, back to the studio. And we're back in the studio. Now, I have put the environmental sensor back in the server rack, so it's sort of monitoring the temperature in the server rack, which I want to do anyway, and the Siren is still in there as well. Now, I've learned since we did test the Siren that the LED comes on when the Siren is on, right? So when you press the Siren test or the Siren goes off with an alert, that's when the red LED comes on. So that kind of makes sense. I thought you could turn it on and off like an event thing, or you could do it manually or something. But anyway, that's how it works, right? I'm glad I got that one sorted out. Now, before we can set up an alarm in Alarm Manager, we are going to just set up some critical values or some, what are they called? Safe zones for the values that we want to capture. So for temperature here, for example, we can add a safe zone. So we're saying, okay, what is the temperature that we are okay with? As in other words, when do we want alerts outside of this zone, right? So currently we get alerts for under 20 and over 25 degrees Celsius. That's probably a bit too narrow. Like the temperature in here swings a lot. This is an old wool shed and it's not well insulated. So we're going to put this at, let's go with 5, because in winter it can get really cold. And let's go up to 30, right? And then you apply that. So now we have a 5 to 30 degrees Celsius safe zone. Right, that's when we're okay. Now humidity, we definitely want to know about that. We don't want to have too much humidity. 30 to 70, that's probably all right. Actually, I'm going to put that a little bit higher because it can get a bit humid here, but let's say 75. We're going to apply that. So now we have a humidity safe zone. And light, I'm not worried about light. Light is always going to be low. It's inside the server rack, so I'm not worried about that. And the leak is on or off. Like, is it wet or not? There's no sort of range, right? And of course, as I mentioned, I haven't been very clear, I think. It has a built-in leak sensor. If you want an external leak sensor, you can do that too. But I don't have one, so I haven't enabled it. Right. So let's apply those changes. All right. So again, every 5 minutes, it'll wake up and get new settings and send data. So this will eventually update with these new settings, but that's okay. I'm going to go to the Alarm Manager. It's over here behind me. I know my image is in the way, but Alarm Manager here at the bottom left. And we now have, well, there's a bunch of alarms that come out of the box from Unifi, a whole lot of them, right? The Alarm Manager is a way of integrating multiple devices and events and scopes within the Unifi ecosystem, right? So think of it as a way that you can have one device interact with another when something happens. So that's the idea. Now, I've gone through Alarm Manager before. That's why there is an orange hat villain here, because if ever there's a villain in an orange hat, I get notified. Right, very important. You can do AI kind of alerts. So let's create a new alarm. Here, so we have 3 steps to create a new alarm. Well, we're going to give it a name first. We're going to call this one, well, server rack environment. I think that's probably all right. Yeah, because it's an environmental sensor. We're going to select a trigger, and there's a bunch of different triggers. So AI is what I just mentioned. So you can have an AI trigger. This is based on any keyword. Now, this is what the AI key enables. The AI key post-processes smart detections from your cameras. So that's why I could have an orange hat villain, a guy in an orange hat. I'm not going to create an AI trigger in this video, but you can do that. You can do it based on ID. Is there a known face or unknown face, or a person of interest, or a specific face? Known face, specific face. All right. We need to delve into this more. You can have it based on number plate or based on geofence. So that's an ID kind of trigger. So you see there's a lot of different possibilities. We can do it based on objects. So person, vehicle, animal. If you've seen something, then you do something, like you've seen a person, vehicle, animal. An activity. Line crossing, loitering, object idle time. NFC card scan requires a G4 doorbell, as it says here. So I only have a G2 doorbell. No, I don't have a doorbell. Sorry, I don't have a doorbell. I have a I have a gate intercom. I used to have a doorbell, but not anymore. Fingerprint scan. Device with fingerprint sensor is required. What would that be? That's also the G4 doorbell Pro, I think. Anyway. ring, sound, motion, speed, and tampering, which is also disabled for me, but you can get tampering alerts. You can set up webhooks, right? So you can actually call a webhook. Here's a trigger ID. Here's the trigger link, right? If you want to set up a webhook, that's quite suddenly you can do anything really because you can trigger a webhook from anything. Sensors, that's actually what we're going to do. And then we have system, right? So there's a lot of different ways that you can trigger an alarm. So we're going to go with sensors. We're going to go with extreme values because that's what we just set up. We set up safe zones. So we want to know if it's outside of those, right? And then you can see the scope changes based on what has those properties. So in this case, it's only our sensors. And I only want to do it for the environmental sensor right now, but I could add all 4 sensors if I wanted to. And then we have to have an action, one or more actions, based on an extreme value from that sensor. Then what do we want to do? Well, we just had the sound, right? So we want to add Siren. You can see here for sound, we have 2 different devices. The Siren PoE cannot play an audio file. The really loudspeaker, the AI horn, can do that. Greeting, that is only a doorbell, I believe, so I don't have one of those. Custom message is only for the really loud speaker, and you can write the message. This is sort of like a text-to-speech thing. Or we can have a siren, which is I only have the one siren. So that's what we want to do. How long do you want the siren to be on? 5 seconds is enough, I think. It's loud. And then we can ignore repeated actions by the same line within your selected time frame. So if I ignore it, I can say, well, I only want one every 10 minutes. That's probably right. Let's do every 10 minutes because we don't want it to go off every single time we get a new value in, right? Now it's only every 5 minutes the values come in, but still. And that's it. It's a really, really neat flow of creating alarms. I think it's really slick. It's done really well compared to Home Assistant, which is sort of my benchmark, which is also really nice to do it in, whether you use the built-in or you do it in something like Node-RED. But I think this is, I really like it. Let me know in the comments if you think this is a good way of doing it. I think this is a very neat way of combining a ton of different scenarios. Like just look at the amount of triggers, right? So we want to create this. I click create. Very good. And now we have a server rack environment and the action is sound. It hasn't been hit. So that's how you create that one alarm. And of course, there's many others. I have one, I get an alarm or a notification every time there's a car entering the gate. I actually use the license plate recognition to know if the postman has been here because the number plate on his car is a specific number plate. So I get notified when he shows up because I can read the number plate at the gate. So all sorts of things. The alarm manager is really, really useful. Now, I did mention earlier that I think we should see what comes through to Home Assistant. So let's have a look. So I'm here on my integrations page, and at the bottom here we have Unifi Protect. And there are now 32 devices because the USL environment has actually showed up. Yeah, but don't get too excited. I think what's happening here is that the integration is reading it as an all-in-one sensor, which kind of makes sense. Like I'm assuming Protect maybe, shares it or through the API, the Protect API that I'm guessing Unifi integration is using, it looks like a sensor, right? But as you can see here, we don't actually have the right values coming through. So it looks like it's there. It is recognizing that is a sensor. But like clear tamper, I don't think we have tamper clearance on this particular device. Maybe we do. Actually, I didn't check. But we don't have any motion. Well, we don't have motion detection on that. There's no temperature coming through. Moisture says it's dry. That's good because it is. And then a light sensor, we don't have a light. So we don't have the value coming through either for that. Humidity, not either. And there's no contact sensor. So it looks like it's thinking it's an all-in-one sensor, but it isn't. Right. Oh, hang on. What is it in logbook here? You cleared, no moisture detected, changed to leak at 5:30. So 2 hours ago, it changed it to leak. Well, obviously there was no leak because it's bone dry. So I think it's coming. I'm guessing that the Protect API maybe has either it is up to date and this isn't reading properly, or it's coming through as an all-in-one sensor and it can't distinguish between the two. But anyway, I think we're close. With the configuration as well, we can actually change the motion sensitivity, which obviously isn't a thing. So it is not quite there yet. I think the battery level is correct, 99%, because we only just enabled it or made it run. So not quite there, but close. So that's the first two sensors, or the first actual sensor on Superlink and the PoE Siren. It's looking good. Now, in my first video I did on the Superlink, there was a lot of you that commented saying, oh, we don't need another ecosystem or another protocol or another standard or another way of having sensors in a home and automation environment. I kind of see where Unifi is going with this, I gotta say. I think this is more for industrial or business, just the way the sensor is manufactured. It's not as small as a sensor could be, it's not big, but it's all really heavy duty, it's rugged. 2 kilometer range, 6-year lifespan on the battery. Like, it's all meant for low touch sort of implementation in an environment where it just needs to work, right? So I think that makes sense, and they work. Like, I'm pretty sure I would get 2 kilometer range on that environmental sensor if I could get like a clear line of sight and not have anything in between. I can't quite. 1.5 I got, which is pretty damn good, I thought. So I have high hopes for all the other sensors that are coming. I definitely want to try out the motion sensor on battery, because I can put that lots of places and get, alerts and actions through the alarm manager. Like, that makes a lot of sense to me. I wish I could control the LED on that Siren. That would be cool if I can turn it on, for an alert without the noise. That would be nice. I can only turn it down to 10%. I can't actually make it silent as far as I can figure out. But lots and lots of good things to come. I quite like the Superlink protocol. Now, let me know what you think down in the comments, because I am very keen on hearing your opinion on what this might mean. If we can get them into Home Assistant even more tightly integrated, that opens up even more scenarios that we could use it for. But yeah, let me know what you think. And as always, if you enjoy these kind of videos and you want me to do more, how about subscribing? Just click that little red button down below, and it really helps the channel. Or you can leave a comment, or give it a thumbs up, or check out the merch, or super thanks, or you can even become a member and get a whole bunch of behind the scenes and extra content that I release for members only. So thank you so much for watching. I think that's it until more sensors arrive. So I will see you in the next video.